I'm about to do the hardest thing I've done in the last 3 years, with the exception of installing my kitchen backsplash. And that is to give up my Trayvax Element, which has been worn daily for the last 3 years and 1 month. And it bothers me because I like it that much. It also bothers me for the fact that I'm actually going to put this in a drawer. I'm giving this up for a $45 piece of plastic. It comes in a bubble wrap, the Flipside 4. Box, Flipside wallet. They all do ship with this accessory. This rubber band is very grippy. Feels like it's 99% silicone. Very grippy to hold money, business cards, receipts, whatever. Doesn't add a lot of thickness to it, but we're going to take it off and show you. But this is what I'm struggling with to give this up. I really enjoyed this. This element, what I don't like, and it's not too big a deal, when you get cash out, by the way, there's 7 bills in here, folded up. You have to get it out, get what you want, and don't put it back. I hear guys complaining on some of the reviews about how much of a struggle it is to get the money back in there while people are waiting for you in the checkout line. Well, don't do that. If you need your cash and you go to a checkout line, take it out, put your wallet back in your pocket, pay for your item with your money, whatever, put it back in your, shove it in another pocket, fix it when you get in the car, when you get back home. Don't hold 6 or 7 people up behind you while you have to organize everything just right. This Trayvax, my daily carry has been 4 credit / bank type cards. They're roughly 30 to 33 thousandths of an inch thick, if that means anything to you. 3 medical / RX cards. Those 3 cards equal 1 1/2 the thickness of a credit card. They're 40 to 50 thousandths, something like that. 1 state driver's license, it's as thick as a credit card. And 7 to 10 bills. You can carry more bills in here, but when you do, it just makes this a little thicker and it sticks out like this, but it's no big deal. And you'll have to pull this a little bit tighter when you do. You'll have to kind of gain on that. You can see the tab wanting to stretch out. You can see right there, there's plenty of room. But I'm going to give this up, at least temporary. I'm going to try the Flipside. Like I say, I'm having a hard time believing that piece of plastic. I say plastic, it does have aluminum. This panel here is aluminum. It's for RFID protection. I don't think the Element has it. It's got a steel frame. I've never been concerned about RFID protection because I'm not liable for anybody stealing my credit card information and running up debt. If I didn't make the purchase, I've never had to pay, and over the years I've had at least a dozen hacks, numbers stolen, skimmers used at gas stations, and I've never been responsible for the money ran up on a credit card. Where the damage is going to come with no RFID protection was with your bank card. I don't know how easy it is for them to get money out of your bank account. And once that's gone, you may or may not get it back. So I'm going to transfer stuff in that to this. And I'm going to try it. It is plasticky, if that's a word, and flimsy. But the thing about this Flipside, that I have to give it the Flipside on this, it seems extremely practical and extremely logical. It is slick. I could see it, according to the improvements on the Flipside 4 versus the 3, was that they have a slight texture here. It may have a slight texture, but to the bare fingers, it's still pretty slick. This leather, it does grip in your pocket really well. And this is the older Trayvax Element. The newer Elements, they look a little lighter duty up in here. They've thinned them. They've done something different. I really don't know because I don't have a new one to compare it. But there's a big difference. Not a big difference, but there's a difference between a brand new one and one I bought 3 years ago. And one thing it's been covered before on, and this is not a Trayvax Element review, I'm going from the Element to the Flipside to try anyway, is that the chip, this chip needs to be down on this end. If you flip it over and put the chip on this end, the inside of the rivet, it's somewhat flush with the leather. It will, over time, damage the chip, or at least the surface of the chip. So a simple fix is to carry that chip down here. Now the others, they carry the chip up here. Okay, I told you what was in the Element. I'm going to do some shots on the size comparison. Looks like just the tab sticks out a little bit lower where the lanyard hole is on the Element. I'm going to slide it a little bit one way or the other. The Flipside is a little wider. Let's go this way. There's going to be a difference because of the corners on the Element are sharper, a little bit more pronounced. They've rounded the corners somewhat on the Flipside. So we're going to kind of split the difference on that corner. On that upper left corner. Left side is pretty much even. We're a little bit deeper here on the Flipside. Not bad. And on the thickness is pretty much the same. Now it's got the rubber strap addition onto it, which comes with the Flipside. It's kind of tricky because I got a bulge here and the strap adds a little bit of thickness to it. Roughly that. And I'm there. It looks like a pretty much the same with nothing in the strap. And the dot caliper, it did compress it somewhat, so it's not going to be totally accurate. But you could carry some bills on the inside of the Flipside. This is 10 ones, just to give you an idea, folded in half on the thickness. This way, you know, if you want to go in, you got to buy some chapstick into the B&P store or whatever. You wouldn't even have to open your wallet. I think that might be a cool feature. All depends on how well it stays here. I think it'll stay good enough. Still allow, and will still allow you to open it. And like I say, you can put a few receipts in there if you choose, but that's going to, that's 10 bills. We'll put a little bit of pressure on it because it's going to be compressed in your pocket. We'll leave it right there. Slide it out. Slide in the Trayvax. You can see the gap there. So it is thicker than the Trayvax, but it's going to have more receipts or paper. It's very close to the thickness without this. Now we'll take the money back out and take the piggyback or whatever they want to call it. Yeah, there's the band. Like I say, the band it does have a high silicone content, and they sell them I think for $4.95, and probably have to pay shipping for 2 bands. I will buy a couple more. I think that's going to be a handy feature to carry, to have on it. Also, I noticed that with this band in place, you wouldn't think there's a difference the way it goes on, but I think there is. There's 2 squares here and here that matches up to these 2 here. It does have an orientation, but I think I'm going to carry this for just carry some loose ones on it, so I don't have to even open it up for something small. Or you can carry it like this. Now, when you do this, you can have your 7 bills in here and everything in this Element. Nearly an 1/8 of an inch difference. without compressing it. Of course, you don't have to worry about compressing anything here. Yeah, right at 1/8 of an inch without the piggyback. It seems insane to go from this Trayvax Element, because this is nice. I've really enjoyed carrying this for 3 years. And if this, I don't know, some of the guys are complaining about there's the really light duty spring, very light duty. The only thing that keeps any tension on that. Some guys are complaining about it showing a little bit of rust on it, as long as it don't break. This spring here is getting some rust on it. On some other reviews that I've seen, I think the Flipside, if it does what it's supposed to do, everybody says it really holds the cards really nice, and we're going to try it. And that's going to hold some bills, receipts, whatever. Made in USA. You got to like that. I'm going to give her a try. I don't think it's going to come open in your pocket. There's a lot of engagement on that tooth. I don't know if the camera will show that. A lot of engagement. That's I would call that a solid 1/8 inch engagement. And that's a plus. That's a big plus. That way you don't have to worry about it popping open. And if you drop it, I don't know whether it pop open or not. So we'll transfer stuff, see how it looks. Flipside, they do advertise 3/4 of an inch, and that's what I'm coming up with. With any pressure at all on the dial caliper, it will come up less than 3/4 of an inch. Without the piggyback, let me put the piggyback on, line up my square holes. Pretty nice snap indentations on that. I like the rubber band too. So we were at 3/4 of an inch. With nothing on it, we're right at 7/8 of an inch. With any receipts, that's 10 bills. Or whatever, 5 bills and some business cards. That's 10 bills, doubled in half. Now we're starting to add to it, but not that bad. With a little pressure, we're less than an inch. We're slightly over 15/16 of an inch. So you could do 10 bills folded in half, a business card or two, and a receipt or two, and keep it at an inch. Don't believe that's too bad. That's quite a bit, and this was right at 3/4 of an inch thick. And before I get into switching it over, I want to show you the biggest, no, it may not be the biggest complaint, but this rivet here, this is what's doing the damage to the chips on the new credit cards and bank cards. This is very hard. You can hear my fingernail scratch it. It's a hard glue they put around that, which is okay. That rivet is there for the life of this wallet. This element's going to be put in a drawer, but I'd be shocked if I stay with the plastic. Because like I said, I've said it before, I really like this element. But I've just got to try the functionality and the practicality of this guy. From watching a few reviews, I thought the silicone or the grippy stuff was on the underneath of this to grip the credit cards, and I thought this was spring-loaded under pressure. That's not the case at all. So it's probably my fault. I misunderstood the reviews. It is simply a piece of tubing cut right here, a piece of like silicone tubing. There and there on each side, and the card simply hits that tubing and it's got just the right dimensions to squeeze between it. I'll put it on top of the one on the left, and your credit card's got, it's not a perfectly sharp corner, it's a rounded corner, so it engages the other one and just kind of squeezes down in there and holds it with just about the right amount of tension. That's pretty neat, really. But they're not replaceable, I don't guess. And if they're not replaceable, they'll wear out. And if they wear out, I'll find out, and I'll show you. The single card for identification, don't go thinking you're going to put anything in there but one credit card or bank card, and like I say, the state driver's license anymore, just about the same size as a credit card. And that is all that will go down in there with a perfect amount of tension, I think. Let's try the 10. Is absolutely no trouble at all. Now I don't know how many I can get before I get in trouble on the closing, as long as these side tabs have enough depth to go down there and close. There's 10 bills. Let's try 17. Okay, we got 17 bills here. I think that's going to make it too thick. It's got some pressure on it, and it's got a slight bulge in it. The US bills fit perfectly down in there. There's 10. So there's 10 bills, 4 credit cards, 3 medical and RX cards that equal 1.5 credit card, and 1 driver's license. Driver's license all by himself. Money's down here by itself. And after money lays flat, that part is spring loaded. You can flip the other one back and forth by itself. The only thing keeping these under any tension at all are those pieces of tubing. Let's go and wrap it up on that. Well, I want to show you one thing. The rivet on this Trayvax is well thought out. The rivet has a slight taper. It has a cone shape. It's slightly bigger on this end, and on this end it's compressed down a little bit in size. It's a little bit smaller. It's got the taper to it, with the tighter end being down here. The rivet is a T-head. Once it comes up, and the tapered fit comes down with any pressure at all, see, it's always wanting to push out on it. When you get your cards and your cash in there, it's always going to put outward pressure on it. Like this, I'm pulling this way, I'm pulling to the left. In 3 years and a month, never once did this tab come undone when I did not want it to, because you've always got a decent amount of pressure pulling on it. It actually has to be pulled and up and over with pressure, because the tighter end of this rivet in my left hand is fighting against the top of the T-head on this one. It has to come up and over. Hell of a wallet, that's all I can say. Well, I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe. And if this breaks on me or anything, I'll let you know. And meanwhile, this guy has a sacred place in my drawer. I look for him to be coming back out, but we'll see. Thanks.